Mr. Linden's Library, written by Conchi Sánchez. Victoria was a curious, intelligent, and hard-working girl. She spent every summer with her grandfather. They played games, went for walks together, and planted plants together. But she preferred spending hours reading in her grandfather's library. Since she was a child, Victoria has loved to read, and she wanted it to be summer to spend all day in that room surrounded by books. Her grandfather changed them from one year to next, because she was growing and her taste changed. But there was one that had been there since she was born, and that no one had ever read, because it was behind a glass and closed by a padlock. Her curiosity was so great that one of the summers she asked her grandfather if she could take it. "Grandpa, do you know where the key to the padlock is, so I can get the book?" "Oh, my dear," replied her grandfather, "that book was given to me by my mother, and she told me to take care of it, because its content was dangerous, and anyone who read it was in great danger." The girl was sad. She had had a curiosity since she was a child, and now that she was old enough to take charge of her decisions, her grandfather prevented her from doing so. But she was obedient, and she never tried to touch the display cabinet where it was. After some time, Victoria became a journalist student at the university. She was a very good student with great intuition and talent for research. The end of the year and the time to spend time with her grandfather, surrounded by books, was approaching. But she received a call from her mother, informing her that her grandfather had died. She didn't know how it happened. Victoria was very sad. She had lost that person, the one with whom she had shared confidence, adventures, and many good moments. But there was the mystery of the book. One day she went to the house where she had spent all her vacations. The house was empty, uninhabited. Victoria went to the library. The room was the same as it always was, tidy. The only thing missing was the book. She looked around. Her attention was caught by a book placed face down on a shelf. She took it out, and a piece of paper fell to the floor. Written in her grandfather's handwriting was a message that said, "In the attic." Victoria ran up to the attic, and behind some boxes she found the display cabinet with the book. But it was still closed, and the cane was nowhere to be found. She called her mother, but she didn't know about the cake. When she hung up, a phrase didn't leave her head. Her mother had told her, "It's just an old book, older than the olive tree." This was a phrase that her grandfather always repeated, and that now sounded like a clue. She went out into the garden, and at the foot of the olive tree she saw a reflection. She approached it, and she found a metal box inside which was the key with a letter. "Victoria, if you have found this, it means that I can't be in charge of the book. I ask you to put it in a safe place. Remember the danger it holds. And remember, make sure that no one reads the story that contains." Victoria was very excited, and finally, after so many years, managed to get the key with the book she had always been so curious about. She took the key and the cabinet and took them to her house. Maybe it will be useful for her career. She spent a lot of time looking at the book behind the glass, without knowing what to do. On the one hand, there was her grandfather's favor. On the other hand, her curiosity and journalist instinct. So she decided to do what she had always wanted. She spent hours reading and she fell asleep at the book, exhausted. What Victoria didn't know was that the book was printed on a special paper made from a tree that loses poisonous vapors at high temperatures. And considering that it was summer, the book poisoned Victoria. He had warned her about the book. Now it is too late.